We would like to know first about you, ma'am.
I am Roxanne Castañares.
My name is Abdurrahman Abi. Okay.
My real name is Sarah Jane Doronio. I'm just using Sarah Jane as my nickname.
I'm Esther Restor.
Teacher Janalyn.
Mrs. Ernea Endorban.
Is Maria Tribal Andres.
I am Rhea Valerie Maratas.
Hello, my name is Regina Mikhaila.
How many years have you been teaching?
Been teaching for already 16 years here in Abu Dhabi.
I think 5 years.
Since then, I guess it's just like 6 years.
It's been 12 years.
Teaching for 2 years.
11 years.
Been teaching for almost 2 years and
Almost 3 years now.
I've been teaching for 3 years already.
Has teaching always been your dream? Why?
Has always been a dream of mine.
Yes, it's because it was really my dream. It's really my passion to teach, to impart my knowledge to children, and I really like working with students. It's like a very great part. It has really a big contribution to my happiness.
Well, when I was still young, I remember that I would always act as a teacher, bringing with me books, those things, and a stick, and of course, the chalk, really it motivates me. I don't know what's with the chalk that makes me feel like I am a real teacher. So I would say yes. Definitely yes. Being a teacher has always been my dream and my passion.
So you were one of the kids that was always carrying books and teaching their cousins.
Yes. Exactly.
So you were the one bringing the blackboard and writing on it. So you were that
Actually,
cousin.
I'm not using a blackboard. The wall in our house.
Oh.
That's where I am writing all those
So you're
all those stuff.
So you're
being
very
a
innovative
teacher.
when you were young. You were
Yes,
using the
when I was still
wall.
young. Yes.
Siguro nung bata, pangarap ko siya as in talaga. Ganyan naman tayo pag bata naging pangarap naman natin maging magturo, naging pangarap natin maging doktor, magpagaling, magturo sa mga nangangailangan. Siguro naging pangarap ko siya. Even ngayon din naman, pangarap ko pa rin naman siya. Bakit? Kasi parang bakit ba? Naging, bakit? Kasi siguro, parang naiinggit ako sa mga kagaya kong, naiinggit ako sa mga teacher ko, ang gagaling nila magturo. Parang katulad ko na walang alam, natututo ako sa kanila, parang gusto ko rin ganun mangyari. Parang gusto kong i-share kung ano yung nalalaman ko sa mga estudyante ko, ganun.
I would say no. No, because I think you would agree with me that when we were like kids, daghan kitag dreams. We have a lot of dreams, and I think that's one, but not really like my biggest dream. Yeah,
It's my dream to become a teacher because I am afraid of the blood if I go to medical. Then I don't like numbers if I go also to commerce. So teaching really is my track. That's why I become a teacher.
So
Actually, one of my teenage dreams to become a teacher when I was, what we call this. This is my dream, actually, become a teacher. So now I'm a teacher. I teach nursing education in our department because my designation area, nursing informatics, quality, and education. So I teach, okay, I give lecture, especially in nursing education, because we need this one, especially we are in adult learning.
given the years,
you have been teaching. Can you share some challenges you have encountered while teaching?
There are multiple challenges that I have encountered, especially working here in UAE. I teach at a Filipino school. Though my students may be Filipino born, but most of them cannot and do not speak Tagalog. So that is one of the challenges in is teaching them how to speak Tagalog.
So it's
And
like a multilingual challenge.
yes, so you have to translate each of the words. Okay? Each of the words and use the language throughout the whole period. This, as what you have said, is what we call as a multi-language challenge that most of us teachers encounter or experience here. Filipino subject seems to be the most, as would I say, exhausting subject to teach because students cannot properly translate English to Tagalog, and there are some very many intricate words, as we would say.
So most of your students are Filipino, but they cannot speak
Yes.
the language because they are
They cannot
born
speak the
there.
language. Yes. And also, 99% of the students are Filipino, although 1% are what we call as mixed. You know, their parents are Indians or
Arabs.
other nationalities. So, but though they are other nationalities, but sometimes they can also understand and speak Tagalog, but not that much.
It is not their medium of communication.
Yes, yes, exactly. Not the medium of communication.
Yes, of course, of course. That is actually a great question, especially for people like you who are going to be the next, facilitator of learning. Basically, the main problem will be the differences. I mean, I'm talking about the background of the student. So you're going to teach students from different family background, different social background, a different cultural background. So one thing is that the main thing is that how are you going to deal with the students? How are you going to facilitate learning, cater learning to them when in fact they have different backgrounds? So the thing is that one thing that is really challenging is that thing. How are you going to facilitate learning for students with different background? But it's you as a teacher, you're going to personalize the strategies that you're going to have, knowing that you know your students. So knowing them in many aspects is actually a great help for you to be able to give them the learning that they deserve.
Yes, I really have a lot of challenges, difficulties, especially that we are in distance learning. So first is that it's very difficult for me to measure the students' learning. I wasn't even sure if that particular student is deserving for that high grade. Like for example, we are giving them this modules. However, when they pass or submit their answer sheets, some of the answers are not really coming from their own mind because of the words, because of their answer. You can really identify who answered. So maybe they were relying their answers from internet or Google or Brainly, or maybe they were asking their parents or elders, baron. And it was very difficult for me to really assure or make sure that this student is deserving. Another one is, because I am an English teacher, it's very difficult for me to conduct or implement English activities. So those are the two most difficult or challenging experiences that I have experienced.
were there times that you regretted being in this profession? Why or why not?
Of course not.
So far, I didn't have any regrets.
I never regret.
No, I've never regretted being in this profession.
So no, not at all. This is this explains that you need to love your job, because when you love your job, every challenges doesn't give you regret, but it serves as an avenue for you to learn.
Wala naman ako dapat na regrets eh.
Yes, a lot of times, as you would ask me. There were
While facing those challenges, can you share some strategies for overcoming those challenges?
Yes. Yeah. Actually, if you're going to ask different other teachers, they would have different approach. I have my own approach with that one. My main challenge of teaching here in Japan is first thing, as what I've told you, cultural background. And second one is basically language barrier. Yes, I come here. I come here with the purpose of teaching them English, but the problem is that I have to communicate with them using the basic Japanese thing, and that's one thing that I don't have any knowledge of. So the only thing that I did is first knowing the students. Of course, I've mentioned it earlier. Knowing the students, knowing their background, knowing their interests, knowing their jobs if it's possible. I mean, I'm teaching adults and kids, by the way. If you're teaching kids, you have to know them, their background, and you have to try to apply different teaching pedagogies. You have to give, or let's say, practice different teaching approaches that would somehow fit the students. So if there is a problem, there is always a solution, and it's, you know what, teaching is kind of experiment. You have to try something. You have if it fails, then don't do it again. Don't try that activity again. And if it does well, then do that activity again. So it's just a kind of trial and error. But the trial and error should be an anchor for you to do better. Yeah.
Okay, first, being yourself, okay, and second, be honest, and of course, study before you teach, okay, and then third, read more, okay, and be yourself, okay.
One of my pupils committed directed them to some of the Bible stories. Sometimes I give them advice wherein I need to touch their heart so that they will never do it again. And I also make some examples of pupils success stories of those bad people that become good. Then when it comes to reading, I always give them vitamins before I started my class. Vitamins first, I let them read phonics drills or short stories. Then math drills for those who need my help so that they will become a better in their performances in math and English.
Yes, I can share to you some of the strategies that I think it's really effective. So first is that it's very important that you have to work with your colleagues, with your fellow teachers. They can also contribute, or they can also give you some ideas on what should you do in order for your teaching experience or the children's teaching experience to be very effective. So you can ask them ideas or any recommendations or suggestions. Or you can also ask them, how is this particular student is doing in your class? Maybe she is good in your class, but not in my class. So that's it. Another is, it's very important also that you have a connection with a student. Like for example, in our case, we always we connect with the students through Messenger, Google Classroom. Also, we use the parents also of the students are like instruments or bridges that connect the teachers and the students. Maybe another thing is that you just have to be considerate as well, especially that we are really facing a very difficult situation right now. So whatever the reason is the student when he or she is not able to pass a particular performance task, or he or she's having a difficulty in answering your module, you have to be considerate. And also try your very best to be compassionate. If they need you, you have to be always there for them. So I think that's all.
Yeah. Actually, it's like quite inspiring while hearing your stories, because for me, I do also like we're having teaching demo, and from this interview, I do really learn a lot. So
For my Filipino subject, we would focus on the subject that I am, one of the subject that I am teaching, which is the Filipino subject. We try to utilize the language as much as possible. I keep my Filipino vocabulary very full and detailed, as or so that when my students ask me questions, I would be able to enlighten them immediately.